Hey, welcome back to another PHP 2 video. We're about ready to finish up the methods in our cart object. And so you can see that I have been able to update by quantity and add to cart. What's left is the two fields down here, or the two properties called subtotals and a total price. And so those are properties that we can change with a function. So let's switch back into the cart object here, and we are going to fix these last two lines with a function. So let's go down to the next spot where we can put some functions, and let's create one called calcTotal. How about? So the goal is we're going to calculate the subtotal for each product in the cart. And so that'll create an array. The second is we're going to calculate the total for all the items in the cart. So the order total will be in a single property. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to create an array, and it'll hold all the subtotals, and then finally when we've calculated that all, we will assign it to this property called subtotals, and that will become the subtotals array. Now between this line here, line 50, and the last line in our function, we'll have to go through a for loop and do the calculations. So let's calculate the for loop right now. Let's say for each item, and let's go through the list. So what are the items in our list? It is the property called this arrow items. And now we're going to interpret that as an ordered pair. So we're going to say as item and quantity. That's how we interpret those two guys. And so as we go through each pair, we'll get the product out of the database, find its price, and multiply it by the quantity. So we're going to need a business service for the product. So this allows us to pull items out of the database for each product. So the first statement says get a product and get it from the product's business service, find its ID, which happens to be the variable called item. So it's pretty simple to calculate the product subtotal. First of all, we need to get the product price, and then we multiply it by the quantity. So now we can take those two numbers and we can add them to the subtotals array as an ordered pair. So we'll say subtotals array equals subtotals array plus a new array item, and the array only has one pair in it, which is item arrow product subtotal. So then when we're finished, we will have this line that says this subtotals equals this new array that we created in the for loop. While we're doing the for loop, we're going to also calculate the total. So initially we set the total price for our cart to 0, and then we add it every time we go through the loop. Alright, so this should work. We've got ourselves a calculate function, and it will populate these two important properties, one called subtotals, the other called total price. Let's go into the cart tester app and see if we can make that work. So this should be a pretty simple calculation. We're going to call the calcTotal method and then reprint the cart. Let's see what happens. So I refresh the page, and now you can see down at the bottom of the last item here, we now have the subtotals array. It is filled. So items 11, 15, and 5 are the product numbers, and this is the total value. So if you bought 13 items of product 11, it's going to cost you $312. Then these three are also added, and they are the cart total, so the total price. So it looks like our method for the cart subtotals is working properly. So now we should be able to use this in our application, since the methods seem to work in the cart test procedures.